When organizations face poor web performance, challenges building modern applications at scale, or need to reduce operational and development costs, they turn to Fastly. Fastly's distributed edge network means your business can unleash its growth potential without worrying about scaling your infrastructure, whether for growth of users, transaction volume, or geographic expansion. Get the speed, security, and edge cloud innovation you need to deliver profitable and engaging experiences. Visit securityweekly.com/Fastly for more information or to speak to an expert. The cybersecurity landscape is full of single solution providers, making it easy for unexpected cyber threats to sneak through the cracks. That's why Fortra is creating a stronger, simpler strategy for protection, one that increases your security maturity while decreasing the operational burden that comes with it. This is all possible thanks to Fortra's best-in-class portfolio and deep bench of expert problem solvers. Fortra's integrated, scalable solutions help customers face their toughest challenges with confidence. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Fortra. Fortra.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3, 4. At this point in RSA, you start to forget what day it is, what time it is, where you are. But I made it here, and I am delighted to be joined by Deepika Chauhan, Chief Product Officer at DigiCert. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
So let's just start. Tell me about DigiCert and what the value proposition is.
Yes. So DigiCert is the leading provider of digital trust. Mm-hmm. And what exactly digital trust means can differ across organizations. But essentially, digital trust is the foundation of the connected world. So if you think about it, so many people are online. We're using so many different kind of devices. Many workloads are moving to cloud. And all of this is a connected world. How do we make sure that we have confidence in all those transactions? And that is digital trust. Mm-hmm. And the reason it matters to the organizations is because, number one, they want to make sure that there's the risk of outage or risk of business disruption is not there. With increasingly complex IT infrastructure, they want to limit any outage that they have because there's a huge economic loss. Mm-hmm. The number two is, again, with increasing complexity, you're seeing more and more attack surfaces, whether they're via software or devices. And so they want to limit the breach, and they want to protect against that. And finally, number three is not about risk or not about compliance, but innovation. With the increasing digitization, more and more companies are looking at new different ways in which they can innovate, whether it's securing elections or providing patient care and medical infrastructure. And essentially, these are the three core elements that digital trust provides. And with DigiCert being the leading provider of digital trust, that's the core mission.
Now, talk about how the organization builds digital trust. So if I'm a prospective customer and I'm coming to you, what's the elevator pitch? Well, you can give me more than an elevator pitch, but
yeah. Let's take digital trust as building blocks. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, if you just think about trust, it's about different entities who may not even know each other. So it's hugely driven by compliance and regulation. So the first and foremost building block is that we need to make sure there's compliance, adherence to the compliance happening across the organizations. And there are a lot of different entities which are ensuring that there's standards for the compliance. The CA Browser Forum, European Union has different rules. Japan may have different rules. There are different SOC rules. And across the organization, first as a customer is making sure there's a compliance with the standards and providing the industry standard PKI certificates to protect your users, your servers, your devices. Mm-hmm. Number two layer of the building block, I would say, is operational. And this is where it's really important when you're talking about key transactions being secure, the availability and the infrastructure support is very critical. If you think about the RAS, the reliability, availability, and scalability aspect of it. So that's the second layer, that it's very important across the globe that we have that basic infrastructure availability, and combined with that is the validation. Because it's not as if I trust you once, sometimes things can change. And just like your driver's license has to be renewed at a periodic basis, your trust elements have to be renewed as well. So there's a validation linked to that. That are we validating that this website belongs to an organization which can be trusted? I mean, let's just look at the trade compliance. Rules change all the time. Mm-hmm. The third layer which comes into play is more about how do you manage the trust? The layer number 1 and 2 are all about establishing the trust. I trust you. I trust this device. I trust that server. But with increasing complexity, the third layer is there's so much complexity of servers, users, and devices. And it's not just that. It's the different software. It's the different documents. It's the different devices like the cameras. And organizations don't even know what certificates are available across all of them. And that's why they face outage. Even some of the biggest organizations, even Elon Musk recently on Twitter, he posted about a Starlink outage linked to a certificate expirations. So with increasing complexity, the need becomes that you need to be able to manage trust. You need to know what's out there. And then you need to know when certificates are expiring. And then you need to make sure there's automation happening. So the managing trust becomes really important. And finally, I would say the fourth layer is about extending trust. Because when organizations are managing trust, it's not that we are living in an isolated world. It's not just that we are protecting our employees and our users and servers. Mm-hmm. It's also about when I'm using a certain software within an organization, it may be using a lot of open source components. The number of devices that I'm using may be coming from different places, and there may be different content provenance for some of the documents and the images. And how do we make sure we are tying to the extended world? And this is where extending the trust into the new ecosystems. Can we look at the software binary and say who signed it? Is it even signed? Or are we running malware on our systems? So I think those are what I would say is the 4 key building blocks. Compliance and operation number 1. The second one being establishing trust, the operations and the validation around it. The third one being managing trust. And finally, the fourth one, extending it into the ecosystem.
Very good. So there is a partnership with Oracle to talk about. So do tell.
Yeah. So we are very excited about Oracle and DigiCert partnering together. Oracle has the best-in-class enterprise software as well as the cloud infrastructure, which is built from a security-first mindset. And DigiCert is the leading provider of digital trust. What we're excited about is the options it provides our customers. More and more, especially in the world of digital security, what the customers want is data sovereignty, that the data lives where they are, whether it's within the country or within the region, for example, say European Union, and they're uncomfortable about data being there, say running out of European data centers for some of the very critical needs. I'll give you an example. One of the customer use cases we are solving is election security. So in one of the Asian countries, they're partnering with us in making sure that the ballots are secure, the person who's counting the ballots is authenticated, all happening digitally. But for something so critical, they want to make sure that all the data is residing in that country. So the jurisdiction sensitivity is very critical. And our message to customers is, you know what you want in terms of where your data needs to reside, and we are not going to force you to reside that data somewhere else. So we will meet you. You want the data within your country, or within the region, or within on-prem. And that's where the partnership with OCI is very exciting, because they have wide availability in 42 different regions, and we can actually deliver on that promise together to our customers.
Very good. Now, every RSA conference has its focus of hype. So for 3 years or so, it was Zero Trust.
Yeah.
Then we get to this year, and everybody's talking about the role of artificial intelligence. Any thoughts on the role artificial intelligence has to play in what DigiCert does, and that can be everything from how you use it to boost the product, or how you use it to protect clients?
That's a great question. And with every hype, there's always an element of customer needs associated with. With artificial intelligence, as exciting as it is, I think it only increases the need for digital trust. Because when you're seeing an image or even a video, how do you actually know that the person who's talking actually said those things? Somebody is watching our video. How do we know that it is me who's saying those things, or it is you who's asking those questions? That goes across all the different content. And there's a content authenticity aspect of it, and content provenance, that how do you have non-repudiation? How do you attach trust to not just who said it once, but as that content gets changed, gets edited, that you're attaching the trust element across the journey, across the provenance, across the supply chain. So I think that's true for artificial intelligence as well, whether it's deep fake or whatever content is being generated to answer any question. How do you make sure that can be trusted? And this is where there are opportunities, as well as if we want to make sure that artificial intelligence really takes off, we need to instill the confidence in people that they can actually believe in it.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts?
Well, I think first, it's super exciting to have the RSA back to what it was. I think this is the first RSA after COVID where everybody is getting together and talking about new innovations. But I think this RSA conference is also very pivotal, because the world changed so incredibly during the COVID years. The increasing digitization which happened has only accelerated some of the trends related to security. And this is why it's very exciting, the digital trust, as well as other messages from the conference are extremely relevant across the board. So I would say, I think what we are seeing in all the organization is digital trust being a strategic imperative, and organizations thinking broadly across the board that with changing trends, with more workloads being on the cloud, with zero trust infrastructure, people working remotely, more coming into the identity parameters, so to speak, in terms of the devices, that people are thinking about strategically, how do we actually protect? And you're seeing some of that. You actually have people appointing digital trust officers in the organization, thinking holistically, because we are in a connected world, and the parameter is only increasing, and identity is a new parameter.
Yep. Well, it's been wonderful having you here, and have a great rest of RSA. And same to all of you tuning in.
Thank you, Bill.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our program on this first full day of RSA 2023. And I'm delighted to be here with an old friend, a very, very old friend.
Delighted, he says.
Steve Ragan, Manager of Global Product and Portfolio Marketing for Cisco.
One of the many, yes.
Back in the day, we were just a couple of scruffy
ragtag
cybersecurity writers, and now here you are.
Look at us, we've grown
this
up.
Big title.
Yeah, we've grown up. We have titles that take many syllables to state.
So we're going to talk now for the next few minutes just about the vibe as we see it so far, the things that we hear people talking about. And I'm going to start with the biggest piece of hype of them all. What do you think it's going to be?
AI.
Ah.
Look at that. Look at that.
You make my job so easy.
It's going to be AI. It's always AI.
So people are talking about it on a few different levels. There's the risks involved with everybody using generative AI. So ChatGPT, code writing, yeah. And then there's the other conversation, which is here's where AI is a benefit to security, and here's how our products achieve that. So talk about what you're hearing so far and what you think people should be talking about if you think they might be missing the boat so far.
So one of the things I'm hearing about, and I've heard this a couple of times today, actually, and it's people that are taking AI to the degree that, on one hand, the left extreme is AI is going to replace people, so it's going to lead to jobs loss, and that's just absolutely not the case. And the other side is that AI is going to automate everything in the industry, and that is absolutely not the case. AI is going to work best when you have humans to go along with it. And what I mean by that is, as it stands now, the best AI can do is take a quantitative view of your network and the telemetry that's on it and give you an outcome report. Like, here's what happened. Here's why I know that happened. Here's what I suggest you would do about it. A human still has to take that and analyze it. And the reason a human needs to be involved is because a human knows the business. A machine will never understand your business. It'll never understand the goal. It'll never understand the pressures of regulatory compliance. It may know the laws, but it doesn't know the nuance behind the laws. And that is important. So when you think of how AI is going to transform the security industry or how AI is going to do something performative, really what AI is going to do is simplify things. It's going to take a lot of the steps out of, for example, writing after-action reports or compliance reports and things like this. AI can help there. But AI is not going to be the silver bullet that solves the problems in security. AI is not going to fix compliance. AI is not going to fix regulatory things. So, yeah, there's a lot that you hear about on the floor, and it's going to be all this week. They're going to talk about AI. But the advice I would give to people is don't look for AI to solve all of your problems. Look for AI to be an assistant.
And don't look to AI as this thing that might take your job.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Maybe
Never
someday, but, not today.
And you know what? The funny thing is, if AI does get to the point where it starts taking low-level jobs in the industry, all that means is you're going to need to have new people go and be prepared to fix and tune the AI. Like, it's going to create jobs. It's not going to eliminate them.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yep, totally. So, Cisco. So many components.
So many components. It's really funny. If you'd have talked to me.
Tell me about what the priority topics are this week, though.
So for Cisco, the priority topics are AI. We are talking about AI and the use of AI in our products and everything like this. We're also talking about XDR. But XDR in the concept of having native telemetry from all across the spectrum of your network, from email, endpoint, DNS, the network itself, things like this, and leveraging that in a way to where you can simplify SOC operations and make it make sense. So the humans have an easier time dealing with incidents or what could be an incident. Because a lot of times there are flags or things that look bad at first glance across the network when you see them pop up on the radar, but a little bit of digging turns out it's not. It's not a false positive or false negative, but it's just not what you thought it was. So simplifying solutions by that, by giving granular visibility all the way across. That's really what we're looking at. Also, identity management is another thing we're going to be talking about heavily this week. And part of the reason for that is, identity is still not only one of the most important assets to developing a security program, it's also a linchpin that you still see criminals to this day hanging on to get in. Look at all the ransomware incidents you see across the board. That stuff starts with identity. So, we're reaching out across a number of spectrum things across this week. And, of course, people are welcome to come visit us. You'll see our booths on North and South Hall. You'll find us. We're there.
That's right. I forgot you guys are in both.
Yeah. And in between, there's the threat wall, which is also fun to watch. I got to see that get built the other day. That was That was neat. I'd never seen that before.
Now, within the context of what we've talked about so far, one of the things you and I have talked about before is the needs of the modern day SOC.
Yes.
And AI fits into that discussion. Identity is obviously a big component of this discussion. But what are you hoping to see and hear? And I'll tack on to the end of the question, what is Cisco going to be talking about when it comes to how to get SOCs, how to help companies bring their SOC to the level that it needs to be based on the size of their environment and scope?
So the thing you want to think of is, first of all, it's not about the size of your environment. The size of your environment should not count. You should be able to have the tools in place and the people and processes in place to deal with whatever may come your way. And that's where we want to focus. That's where Cisco's going to be looking at. It's simplifying SOC operations to where we're meeting the customer where they are, no matter where they are. You know, we've got an environment now to where hybrid work is literally the norm. It's not the exception anymore. And, you know, think about it. A decade ago, man, with the jobs that you and I had, we were lucky because we got to work remote and we got to work wherever we wanted to.
Yep.
But now everybody gets that because most workers are, for the most part, at least 2 to 3 days a week working remote.
Thank you, COVID.
Exactly. Well, yeah, if ever. But the thing is, you know, you asked, where are we seeing that? What kind of conversations are we want to get into? We want to talk about this. We want to talk about meeting you where you are and protecting you all across the board. You should not have to think about security when you start to work. It should just be there. It should be underlying. So when you think of, you know, SOC operators, it should be simple for them to judge the network and the performance of the network and the incidents that may roll in based on a glance. They shouldn't have to do 50 billion steps to realize that that was a phishing email. It should be flagged. That was a phishing email. We've seen hundreds of it like this. This is why we flagged it. This is what it looks like. That's what we're giving you. It's the information and the insight across the board, and that's what every company needs. They need more telemetry. They need more insight and viewpoints, and it shouldn't have to be 50 different vendors to achieve this. There's no reason why you can't be built on a platform. And that's something I've been looking for decades now. It's just the ability to simplify operations, because I remember being in a cubicle having to try to deal with incidents. It's annoying when I've got to go to 50 different panels to get an answer to a single question. Why should I have to? And unfortunately, we've built an industry around doing that.
Yep.
We really have. Keep looking at your cup. The cup's there, Bill. It's not going anywhere.
Steve is doing that just to razz the people behind the camera who are worried about the coffee cup.
Yeah. The wonderful people, by the way, without whom none of this conversation would be even happening. Just saying.
That's right. Well, that was a good save. Well done. So
we're professionals, man.
We are. So let me ask you now, and we're down to the last 5 minutes, so this might be the last question I get to
crunch
ask.
time. I'm in trouble.
Talk a bit about where you'll be this week, who you'll, without naming names, who you'll be talking to. Stick to the personas.
So,
And
stick to the personas? Okay, yeah, I can do that. So one of the biggest personas I'm going to be talking to this week, and I'll be bouncing around between the booth and, you know, various little meetings across the board, are SOC operators and SecOps. Straight across the board, SecOps. And a couple of DevOps people and some IT ops people, because they're old school friends and I've known them forever. Like, I want to get their opinions and their viewpoints and things like this. So I will be talking to a lot of SecOps things. And actually, Cisco itself will be doing a lot of DevOps and SecOps and IT ops and NetOps. Like, we're going to be talking to the wide spectrum. And fortunately, we're in a place right now to where, you know, SecOps is very much a thing at RSA, but so is DevOps, so is IT ops. Like, it's a little bit of everything here when you look in the environment. In fact, as we've been sitting here talking, I've been watching people move across the hall in front of us, and you could probably hear them in the background, the little static noise. And the thing is, like, when you look at these people walk through, they're from all walks of life, all points of view. They've got different enterprise operations, some scaled up, some scaled down. Some know what they want with their security programs. Some don't even know where to start. And these are the people we want to talk to because there's a lesson for all of them, and there's a way to work with all of them. And the ultimate goal for all of this is to make the industry better. It make the internet suck less, you know? That's where we want to be.
Yeah.
And I stole that line from Andy Ellis, and I'm going to keep using it.
That's a perfect way to end this. Steve, always a pleasure.
My boy.
This was a lot more professional than the podcast we did back in 2014 at DEF CON.
It very much was. None of us are going to get fired for this one, so that's a good thing.
Everybody, have a great rest of your day.